Welcome back to Nationwide Arena, and it would have been welcome to the off-season had the Blue Jackets not responded tonight with a pulsating, rousing 5-4 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins in Game 4. There will be a Game 5 Thursday night in Pittsburgh. We're here with columnist Michael Arace, Aaron Portzline. Quite a game and quite a wild ride for this 19,000 fans here tonight.
Yeah, incredible. And I thought the underappreciated, understated star of it was William Karlsson, who scores the big goal early in the third period, but throughout the night he was given the task. Most of the time when they had matchups against Sidney Crosby, it was Karlsson that went out against the Crosby line. His line mates Calvert and Anderson, together they were spectacular tonight. Defensively, Crosby, no shots on goal. No points. I mean, if you think of the damage that line has done.
Last two games.
Oh, throughout this series. That was really telling to me. But up and down the lineup, a lot of new faces in the lineup, lots of really impressive singular performances tonight for the win.
For some of our newer fans, one of the differences playing at home is you get the last change.
Right.
So John Tortorella could get what line he wanted out against that Crosby line, which I think they racked up like 11 points in the last two games with Connor Sheary.
Even when they could get the matchup they wanted, they had Dubinsky out there against Crosby and Karlsson against Malkin, and this time they switched him around.
Switched it up. Mike Arace, you wrote a column for tomorrow's Dispatch. Just your thoughts of how obviously much needed this win to continue the series, but just your thoughts on how they played tonight.
Oh, they played as they played three of these games. They came out roaring, scored 100 goals in the first period, gave up 99 in the second, and this time held on in the third. Good for them, good for the crowd. You know, one of the things I noticed was that not a lot of black and gold at all in the audience. And we've been in Cleveland and Cincinnati. Heck, the World Series last year, I was up there when visiting fans had taken over places in Ohio. They didn't take over here, which was great for Game 4. If they get back for Game 5, I don't think there'll be any black and gold.
For Game 6.
For Game 6, excuse me. Yeah. Game 5 Thursday in Pittsburgh.
One of the storylines of this morning, and I'll stick with you right now, was that John Tortorella as only John Tortorella can say, he wanted him to turn the radio on after the game.
The gramophone.
In 2017, guys still listen to the radio. And your column was playing a lot off some of the swear words that he said today.
Expletives deleted.
Expletives deleted was what we read in your column. And you had some fun with that, but he was serious. He just wanted these guys to feel that experience. And there's 10 guys in this series that has never played in the playoffs before. A couple guys went in tonight. Marcus Nudavara and Lucas Sedlak, guys who had never played before. He wanted them to experience that joy of winning a playoff game and getting to celebrate with teammates.
And they did. And there were guys in the locker room. Nudavara comes to mind, and Karlsson. And Karlsson's played a couple of. Nudavara was just thrilled. I mean, and all that's really good for them and their development, all that stuff. I mean, just from a civic standpoint, you don't want to get swept here, in front of these people.
Right.
And so they did it, which is good. It says something about them. I mean, their odds of winning the series aren't good at all. Still, they're down 3-1 in this series.
They still have life.
But they didn't get swept at home. At least there's that.
And there's still life. Let's get to some of the lineup changes. This has been a talk throughout the playoffs, early in this series, about what they were kind of doing with their back end and who should be in and who shouldn't be out. With Werenski's injury, it gave them a chance to put at least one more person in, and they ended up taking Harrington out of the lineup. Quincy and Nudavara go in. Nudavara, a goal and assist. Quincy with an assist, solid play. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Quincy was too slow to play in this series at the start. I thought he was really good tonight. So big hits, structured play. I thought Nudavara, he didn't look at all intimidated by the scene. The skating was there, the puck movement was there, and we've talked, like, he doesn't typically make a lot of mistakes. He just gets overwhelmed physically sometimes, but we didn't even notice that. He stood up a few times where the numbers, frankly, weren't great, and he still somehow emerged with the puck. I thought both of them were really good.
We caught up with Marcus Nudavara after the game, and here's what he had to say about his performance.
Yeah, we won a battle in the boards, and I kind of cheated in a own zone, and I started to skate, and I got the puck, and lucky bounce for me, and I tried to shoot and give the rebound to the solder, and after that, just good bounces.
It looked like you partially fanned on your actual shot that went in. Did you get all of it, or did you just get part of it and it just went in?
I don't know. I just tried to get it in. So
yeah.
All right. From the very positives of this performance is a team that obviously wins a game and is resilient. You know, unlike the last game where they had a similar start, but weren't able to hold on when Pittsburgh really started pushing. To one of the concerns I think that everyone still here has is Sergei Bobrovsky tonight. They were going along just fine there. They give up a power play goal, but then Bobrovsky gives up another one of these goals where the play is generated from behind the net, and Ron Hainsey sends a puck in along from the right wall. It looks pretty innocent, and it goes through, and all of a sudden there's a game. What do you think's going on with Bob, and is there anything that can change to get him back going again? Does the end of the game help at all, or what are your thoughts there?
I talked to him afterwards, and it was no different than talking to him after any other game. He doesn't get flustered. He seemed nervous to me in Game 3. Not so much tonight, but you see what happens when you let in a bad one, and he's not really known for this, but you let in a bad one in a playoff game, and momentum shifts immediately. The crowd, the air goes out of the building, and so they know it's big. So Bob is still struggling for all practical purposes, but that said, Tortorella stood behind his goaltender with a mace and a broadsword after the game and said, he's the backbone of the team, he's the guy that got us here. Has he been a little shaky here and there? Yeah, but he also came back, and it was a good point by the coach. Bob made a lot of great saves after that second goal by Pittsburgh, the Hainsey goal, and he made a lot of terrific saves going down the stretch in the third. It was a crazy third period, and he held up well.
At some point, they got to hold the Penguins under 3 goals in a game if they're going to win this thing, right?
Yes.
Like, that's a lot of stress to put on their offense. Their goal scoring tonight, 5 is unrealistic. 4 is probably unrealistic the game before. I thought he looked shaky again. I do agree he made some really big saves at times in this game. But there are just elements of his game and his motion and some of the way he reacts to certain shots that you go, I didn't see that in the regular season. It's just different right now. Maybe he gets some confidence from the way tonight ended. See how he fares in Pittsburgh. A tough place to play. They need him to be special. I think still really long odds in this series, but if they're going to get back in and make it even mildly interesting, he's got to be leadership.
One thing we do know, though, is it will be Bob. He's not changing goaltenders. That seems crystal clear at this point. Yeah. Does he have a short hook in Pittsburgh? I think it's possible, but not the way that Tortorella is talking.
Yeah, I mean, he has said nothing of this, and of course he's not going to. You get the feel that, especially in a game like this, if they're going down, they just can't stop Pittsburgh if it's just bad goal. I think you see a change. Yeah. There's no way he starts a game without Bobrovsky. But I still think he's got it. This is desperation time.
Right.
You're putting your starter in the third inning here. If it lets anything you got to do to keep it alive.
Yeah, I can't see any change unless, like you said, if things go bad. We also caught up with Brandon Saad, who had 2 assists, played very well.
Wasn't benched.
No,
he didn't get benched.
No, he played very well tonight. Caught up with him, and he talked a little bit about the musical selection in the locker room after the game.
Torts made such a big deal earlier today about what he wanted to hear in this locker room after the game. He wanted music. He wanted you all to experience it. What was it like for you all here?
Yeah, it's good. Always coming in after a win, everyone's cheering, high-fiving, and then you get the music going for our win song. So we're all excited here tonight, but we got a lot more work to do.
A lot of people want to know, what was the music? What was the song?
I'm not sure. You got to talk. I don't control that.
Who controls it?
I think Cam does, so you have to ask him.
He's the DJ, if you will,
he's the DJ.
The unofficial.
Yeah.
All right, they get a game in here. Go back, as we said, on Thursday night to Pittsburgh. What should we expect? What should we expect? Can they make a series of this and get it back to Columbus?
I think they can get it back to Columbus. Will they? I don't know. I tend to be pessimistic on that front. But here's where we all get to feel what they preach about, this one game at a time, which we've heard a million times over the course of many years. But here's where you see it. Here, you can have laser vision, just play that 60 minutes, and you see what happens. And let's say Bob plays out of his mind. And then you get it back here, and you're going like, ooh.
Well, you need one more to get it back.
That's right.
The other point here is, this is the other goalie on the other end has also yielded 9 goals in 2 games. Now, the book on Fleury, especially this year, very good at home. we saw the difference of the 2 Fleuries in the 2 games. But let's be honest. I mean, if they can get a couple early goals on Fleury in Game 5, what could that possibly do to maybe his psyche?
Well, I think Columbus is starting to gain, if we've seen anything these last couple of games, they're starting to gain a little offensive confidence in the creating of shots. Yeah, the shot. They're not getting shots blocked like everything was blocked in Pittsburgh.
Right.
So maybe that's changed. Maybe they've done something there. One thing to look for me, though, is I don't think the Penguins are fearful of William Karlsson's line, but they can get the matchups they want now in Pittsburgh.
Right.
So at some point, Dubinsky's line's got to shut down Crosby's lines. Yeah. At some point, this team has to be able to defend in Pittsburgh when they don't have the matchups. So that to me, and of course Bob, back to Bob, here it comes again. It's a different setup now in Pittsburgh. They've got to play their best game of the series by far to win in Pittsburgh. If they win that one, everything's wide open again.
All right, we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys on Thursday. We'll look for us on Facebook Live before the game. Kyle Robertson with all his great pictures and videos. Check out all that stuff. Rachi's column, Aaron's game story, my stories, and we'll see you in Pittsburgh as the series continues.